Starting now, this is your local news leader, News 10 ABC in the morning.
Governor Cuomo sexually harassed current and former state employees in violation of both federal and state laws.
I never touched anyone inappropriately or made inappropriate sexual advances.
Governor Cuomo under fire. A new report from the state attorney general's office graphically detailing the sexual assault allegations against him.
Inappropriately touched a state trooper. He ran his finger from her neck down her spine. He took his open hand and ran it across her stomach.
She recalled kissing the governor on the lips. The governor testified that those things may have happened.
Resounding calls for his resignation ringing louder and louder, including from the president.
Are you now calling on him to resign?
Yes, I think he should resign.
I continue to believe the governor should resign.
People of New York and these women deserve and demand action.
She could not put forth a penalty. It's our job now to put forth that impeachment penalty.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thanks so much for joining us here on News 10 ABC. I'm Ryan Peterson.
And I'm Mary Wilson. Thanks so much for waking up with 10. We obviously have a lot to get to, and we'll get to it all in just a moment. But let's begin with your forecast. Meteorologist Jill Swed standing by. Things are looking pretty good this morning, Jill. You can set up those custom traffic alerts depending on where your commute takes you.
Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed current and former New York State employees by engaging in unwelcome and non-consensual touching and making numerous offensive comments of a suggestive and sexual nature.
I welcome the opportunity for a full and fair review before a judge and a jury, because this just did not happen.
Scathing months-long report being revealed by the New York State Attorney General Tisha James, and it finds that that Governor Cuomo actually did sexually harass several current and former staff members in his office. Of course, the governor denying the claims.
Yeah, 11 women have come forward, and the AG says they are credible. It includes an executive assistant as well as a state trooper on his protective detail.
The AG's investigation finding evidence of a hostile work environment, a climate of fear that prevented these women from coming forward. No charges have been filed at this time.
And several of the nation's top Democrats, including the president, are now calling on the governor to resign.
That includes House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, among others. Meanwhile, North Country Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who began her calls for resignation about a year ago, even going so far as to say that the governor should be arrested and prosecuted now.
And lawmakers on both sides of the aisle in the state legislature are echoing those calls for resignation, some even calling for his impeachment if necessary, and that includes Assembly Minority Leader Will Barkley.
I hope he sees the light and resigns, but if he doesn't, I think it's important on the Assembly and the Senate to impeach him. It's not a day to be happy by any stretch of the imagination, you know, I think it's sad. I think it's time that we end this chapter and start a new one.
A mounting number of Democratic New York lawmakers are asking for the governor to step down, some calling the findings of this report disturbing.
You only need to get to page 3 of the report, and you're struck by the disgusting acts that are outlined.
Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie says he's looking to conclude the impeachment investigation as soon as possible. Stay tuned for our next half hour, where we'll break down what that impeachment process could look like.
The AG's report also revealing that the signature on the governor's 2019 state-mandated sexual harassment training document was not his, but it was signed by a staff member instead.
Our Juliana Bruno live outside the executive mansion this morning. And Juliana, you were trying to get those documents for months through a FOIL request. You finally got them last week, and that signature definitely raised your eyebrows.
Definitely. Ryan and Mary, when we finally got those documents in, something didn't look quite right when we matched up the signature on that form to other papers signed by the governor, and now we know that's because he didn't actually sign it himself. Stephanie Benton, an aide to the governor, told investigators that she signed the form on his behalf. Take a look at it. It's on your screen right now. You can see his signature and printed name on the bottom. It took us months through the Freedom of Information law to get a copy of this proof form, form claiming the governor took anti-sexual harassment training in 2019, and it was quite the process. My FOIL request was kicked back several times since I filed it through the executive chamber in March. We finally got the document last week after an appeal written on my behalf by a lawyer was denied by the state. The governor has also publicly said months ago that he took it, but the lack of his personal signature begs the question, did he actually take the course himself, or did someone take it for him? The governor's office has yet to respond to our questions. And that anti-sexual harassment training is mandatory by state law. Governor Cuomo made it an annual requirement himself. So we asked the executive chamber if he had to take it in 2020, if anyone had to take it in 2020, and if any other employees had to fill out and sign a form such as the one sent to us through a FOIL request, and we have not gotten answers to any of those questions. Live in Albany, Juliana Bruno, News 10, ABC.
Juliana, thank you. Now, as we mentioned earlier, one of the women included in the report making allegations of sexual harassment was a trooper on the governor's own security detail. The report says she had been working for the state police since 2015 and met the governor on the RFK Bridge in New York City in 2017. After that brief meeting, she was told the governor, quote, wanted her on the detail tomorrow, and that despite not having the minimum required 3 years on the job, a senior investigator telling her, quote, haha, they changed the minimum from 3 years to 2 just for you. The governor telling investigators that he was on, quote, constant alert to recruit more women, blacks, and Asians to the state police detail. Trooper 1, as she's known in the report, described the governor's behavior towards her as, quote, flirtatious and creepy, saying he did not act in a similar way with the male troopers. President of the New York State Troopers Police Benevolent Association responding with this quote, I'm outraged and disgusted that one of my members who was tasked with guarding the governor and ensuring his safety could not enjoy the same sense of security in her work environment that he was provided.
The AG's report also includes hundreds of pages of emails, text messages, photographs, and telephone call recordings. All support the complainant's allegations that the governor was harassing and hazing them. One of them is a phone call between accuser Charlotte Bennett and the governor, which they say is an example of hazing. Take a listen.
Hello.
Hi, Governor.
Yeah.
This is Charlotte.
Okay. Are you ready?
I am ready.
You don't know that song?
No.
Before your time.
It's before my time, but I appreciated the singing.
Do you love me? Do you really love me? Do you love me? Do you care?
While Bennett was on the phone, the governor was singing there the 1950s Contours song, Do You Love Me? Another time he insisted that Bennett sing the song Danny Boy. Investigators cited them as an example of Bennett's allegation that the governor was hazing and testing her temperament, confidence, and the ability to handle herself. One of the governor's accusers, Sherry Ville, speaking out after the AG's report was released. Ville saying she only met the governor once when he toured storm damage around her home in Monroe County in 2017. Ville says he kissed her repeatedly, which she says was not consensual. The governor explaining his actions, but Ville stresses that what he did was unacceptable.
I've been making the same gesture in public all my life. I actually learned it from my mother.
I'm 100% Italian. We do not kiss strangers. He just needs to come forward and admit what he has done.
And we will be closely following all of this for you all morning long. Keep it here on News 10. 6:10 right now. An inmate escape at Albany County Jail under investigation.
Yeah, that's right. How long the inmate roamed free for before being taken back into custody.
And a look at what's going on at the Saratoga Racecourse today. The featured race is the Birdstone. Those gates open at 11.
You're watching News 10 ABC, your local news leader, with Christina Arangio, Ryan Peterson, Mary Wilson, and meteorologist Jill Swed.